totally remember.
Oh, it's probably because I bring it up every time. I don't know. How you doing, Eric?
Good, yourself?
Well, we need another person for a quantum, don't we?
Well,
Oh, we have three.
yeah.
You're new.
See, you keep forgetting.
No, I'm not forgetting.
Been that long, he works for recreation.
Oh, you know what? I just circle my name. I take minutes, I circle over here.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna read Jordan. 6:03. And got everybody's name down. We have a quorum according to what I learned about 6 months ago at the RTM, 3 out of 6. And go to new business. Let me say something. I've run lots of meetings in my life. I was the mayor for 6 years. I have never run a budget. I've never been the chairperson of an RTM. No. Looks like the rules are about the same. There's only 2 numbers on the floor, at least 3 in council.
Oh, okay. I'm just
Yeah.
not close. Oh. Yeah, I'm not gonna close.
Yeah, we have a super
Now,
majority now.
yeah, now it's not even a question. Right, yeah, we have a super majority. Now I'm gonna pay attention.
Leanne's here.
Someone back to Florida.
Leanne, I just told her the story about the porta potty.
Jesus, that was funny.
I don't want to get into that.
Did he really tell you the story?
No.
No.
I'll tell it to you
No,
real quick.
after. We're gonna talk business here.
What's that?
We're gonna talk business now.
Yep, we're on.
Oh, we're live, yeah, you gotta watch what you say.
Well, if you put your pants on, I'll be all right.
Well, we always wonder when you're on Zoom.
The hand has not changed.
Problem is, I have not. So much sense of humor.
Has anybody got an extra agenda? I could not get one pulled up.
Hey,
We'll share.
Yeah, we can share.
we could look 1 second, but you know. There's a list that, oh, you know what? Would this help you? This help you? Yeah,
Yeah,
There's an
thank
extra.
you.
that's not, that's the list of the thing.
Right,
Yep.
That's what the other part of
That's all
the
we're
agenda is
doing.
called order.
okay. Well, let's just put a line through them.
Like I said, like I told them, again, I've never been chair of an RTM committee like this or budget, never. That's something I've never done. So,
I don't think any of us have.
No.
well,
No,
that's okay. I like to run meetings like to the point and get them over with too. We have CIPs, we have 3 accounts, we have council, who's gonna go first? And, I've looked and it looks like, pretty much a pass through on the town council as far as numbers went, with the exception of, I don't understand this till December 31st.
Oh, okay, so we're talking CIPs first.
Oh, no, it's in the budget too.
Right,
No, we'll go in order, Mark,
oh, okay.
so I guess,
I assume that's 154,000, 159,000. Correct.
Not sure what you're looking.
I'm looking at the list. It's got numbers next to it.
it's,
Page numbers.
what,
Oh,
it's
that's page numbers.
page
I
154.
thought that's what we were gonna give you.
I'm sorry, I,
Man, that would've
getting
been
off on a
better,
bad
right?
foot.
A little more than.
Right.
It is a pass-through number and it's, 2,471,089. That's the number that the council has passed, and that's what we have to work with. Another way we can work is down. If you wanted to do that, or, why don't we just listen to Mark, what Mark has to say?
Sure. So that, the 2,471,089. $44,380 increase over FY FY25 or 1.8%. And the proposed budget reflects recommendations from Parks and Recreation Master Plan, the Community Tree Management Plan, town's commitment to sustainability and resiliency, collective bargaining agreement, part-time seasonal pay plan changes. So the personnel expenses actually decreased by about $1,600. And the reason for that primarily is previously we had money budgeted to the after-school program from this account. The council had supported what we were trying to do, but there's been changes in the after-school program market, and there's a decreased need for after-school program. What we've seen is the what's it called, the treehouse program, which is run by the school, has expanded their services. So we're just not seeing the demand for after-school program at the community center. So we took that money out. Not all of it, we kept some of it in because we're hoping to do some after-school special events, but kind of the daily after-school program that we've had for the last few years, we've kind of taken that out. So we took the money out. So that's why the personnel expenses have decreased. Operating expenses have increased.
I'm sorry, can you speak up just a little bit?
Oh, sure.
Huh?
Sure. So our operating expenses have increased. In the areas of professional development and training, we have new staff that we are encouraging to participate in different training exercises, both in the Parks Division and the Recreation Division. Professional technical services is also up.
Which page are you on? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm just, you don't have this
Oh.
information, I'm just kind
He's
of giving
giving
you
us
a
some.
narrative.
Oh, okay, because I thought,
Yeah,
where am I?
yeah. So I'm just trying to give you an explanation of why the changes, the proposed changes are in this budget.
Thank you very much.
Sure. So professional technical services is up. Specifically, one of the recommendations in the community tree management plan was to develop a tree distribution program. So we've identified areas in the community that the tree index is low. And so we're trying to make, our plan is to make trees available to those areas in the community where the tree index is low, so that we can get more trees into those areas of the community where there's not.
Could you give us an example of what?
Sure. The Quantic Ridge area, there are a lack of trees. And also up in the Navy housing area, there's a lack of trees up in that area.
On Navy land or our land?
Well, Ireland, in that area in general, I mean, it would be a combination of both.
And what's the number that goes with that one there?
I think it was $4,000 we had budgeted for trees.
Thank you.
The portalet service has doubled in price. We have portalets at a number of our parks, and that cost has doubled. We were in a 3-year contract. That contract expired. We went out to bid, and like you said, the cost for portalet services has gone up. It's double what they were charging us previously. Materials and supplies are also increased. One of the recommendations from the master plan, the level of assessment was we needed to make improvements to different athletic fields, and we put some money in this budget to make those improvements. In trying to address resiliency to climate change, we proposed misting stations in 3 of our parks.
What
Yeah.
kind of stations?
Misting.
Oh.
And we're also transitioning from gas-powered park maintenance equipment to electrified maintenance equipment. So going from gas-powered leaf blowers to electric leaf blowers, going from gas-powered chainsaws to electric chainsaws. It's better for the environment, and it's actually better for all of our employees as far as, you know, having to deal with the emissions that come out of gas-powered
Noise too.
and the noise too.
Right. I think that's what the legislature was looking at. It went anywhere.
And
What was the number on that one?
$14,000. And the other part of that is we have identified a system where we can put a solar power, or I'm sorry, yes, a solar powered charging station on our trailers, so that as the equipment is being hauled around and is sitting in a parking lot and maybe they're running a blower, we're actually charging the batteries for some of the electric.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Is that in addition to the 14,000?
No, that's part of the 14,000.
I went electric lawnmower.
So that's a kind of a summary of some of the changes that we proposed in this current budget, or in the proposed budget.
Would somebody like to move a number?
I don't know if there's questions.
Well, you can still put a number in favor. That's what we should have
Well,
done.
we're gonna go through the rest of the numbers, or,
Are we gonna do each account separately?
no, we might have a question, you know,
No, I mean, this is, we're just talking about, Parks and Recreation now.
right?
We have the senior center, we have the golf course. Those other things, we'll talk about them there.
Okay,
So I'm just following the list, and this is account 1064.
okay. I was looking at community services, so that's gonna be in a bit. Is that what you told me?
I think it's all community services.
Yeah, there are a few departments that are lumped under community services. Parks and Recreation, Library. I don't know what.
Talking about community events.
Okay, thank you. That clarifies that in my small brain.
Excuse me, Chairperson. Are you looking for motion for the full amount and then discussion?
That's usually the way things are done. I don't, we can be informal, we're friends here, you know what I'm saying? There's nothing really controversial here. We can argue about a number.
Let me ask you a question, Harry. Normally, we do go down through the list. I understand.
Okay, I've never done this before, Chair, committee. And when I was on the council, we did an account.
Right,
Okay?
right.
You wanna like add all the numbers up at the end?
No, what I'd like to do is what we usually do at the RTM, which is where you would take a page like this, you go down through it, and then you move that figure, you know, just, I believe that's how we've always
Well,
done
what
it.
number would you say for this one here would?
Well, I'm not even sure which one that should be under. I wrote down what we were talking about, but what group does that fall under? Was that a kind of synopsis of everything?
No, that was
that
account
was-
1064.
1064.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's on page one, but the number that I was thinking is on page 1.
Yeah, I know, but I'm talking about normally.
Oh,
When
each
we're sitting
line.
down,
Right.
you go through it.
Okay.
And that, I think that's the simplest way to do it in order to keep it so it's strategic to what we have in front of us.
I was talking bottom line, but go ahead. That's fine.
Which number would you like to do?
Anyone you pick. I only say that because being a new person, looking for
Are
some.
you the one I ate dinner with the other night?
No, but why does everyone say that?
You were eating online and I was eating online, so I thought we had dinner together.
So, look, Leanne, how do we do this? When you say line by line, you mean go down?
Yeah, like he just said to us, he was talking about the leadership support, correct?
Okay, good. Just,
So-
we'll keep going before we move a number then, okay?
Yeah,
That's fine.
so what we usually do is we would go through here, and if there's a question, like if something stands out to you and you want to know a little something about it, because like program and events is gonna go from from 468 to 525. So you just kind of say, okay, what did you add? You know,
Okay, that's fine. We'll do that. Pretty easy,
okay?
but
That's
eventually we're gonna get to
the number,
whether it's $2,471,089 or less. That's what I'm thinking.
correct.
Okay, so you wanna continue on discussion about all the different lines? That's fine.
If we go through the line and you see something that's a little different, that used to prompt
I
questions.
thought we were done with that part, but okay.
No.
Okay.
I don't believe anybody's done this part, because the council didn't do it.
I don't think the council went to page 156.
The council went with,
I know.
the manager's number, and I'm sure it's a very good number. But our job is supposed to be to go through these, and if there's something that stands out, you ask a question. If everything looks fine, you say, okay, we can go home.
Okay.
Right, Legs?
So if you don't mind,
I don't mind.
so. Ben, Mark, whatever. So. We are looking at fiscal year 25 leadership and general support. I may need some clarification of what that means. You are going $100,000. Is that the part-time people you were talking about? Or am I looking at this wrong?
No, so, yeah, I can explain.
What page are you on, him?
Page 156,
Gotcha. Right with the
cost center, 164, leadership and general support.
Right, so leadership and general support for FY 25 was 306, 898. For FY 26, it's 208, 816. What we did there is we moved the manager of parks and open space out of leadership and general support and put that number down in parks maintenance. And if you look at parks maintenance, you can see that it jumped from 802 to 930. So
Makes sense.
is that
Talking about it, Tabitha.
That's okay, as long as it's good stuff.
There are more questions?
So the only other big one,
Go for it.
I'm assuming parks and events went down 20? Is that what you were talking about, with the after-school program?
yes. Yep. Exactly. Yeah, that went from 541 to 525. Right? Yep.
And then the only, and I think you hit it, Eddie, the only noticeable significant delta change is parks maintenance going from 802 to 930.
Right. And part of that was the moving the manager
Exactly.
of parks and open space.
Right.
And then some of the other things that I talked about.
Right.
The equipment. and
Yep,
things like
which you did a very good job explaining. But I don't know, like, this is the right place to ask that question. You talked about movements to athletic fields.
that. Yes.
That wouldn't be in this budget. That would
No,
be
actually, it is, because it fell below the $25,000,
right.
which is, that's what separates money in the operating budget from capital. So
Got it.
capital projects, anything over 25,000.
Right.
Projects over 25,000 fall into capital improvement.
Right.
So we're talking about placing some fence, like at the Groton Community Center, it's all rusted. That only came to 16,000. So we kept that in the operating budget versus adding some other things and putting it into a CIP.
So again, I'm probably asking questions in the wrong spot.
No, you're in the right spot.
Yeah, no,
So the, sticking with the vehicles, moving from gas power to electric, kudos to you and your forward thinking. But I wonder, was there a way to calculate if there was gonna be any increases to utilities, as in electric, or is it all going to be sold?
No, that's a great question. No, we did not, there was no calculation. of Additional cost of electricity.
I would jump in just to say that the additional cost would be nominal because the amount of equipment that we're purchasing is small handheld equipment, and it usually uses a normal plug, and we aren't expanding at some kind of level that we're really adding additional dollars there.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Then the last question, teach me something. So the tree, I labeled it tree indexing planting program.
Yeah.
I think I heard you say $4,000.
Right.
Now, is that part of a CIP plan where park improvements is 30,000 a year and that 4,000 is part of that, or does it fall in
No,
just operating?
yeah, all the things that I spoke of earlier, all are under the 106.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I did, no, those are great questions, and I do want to say that the replacement of the equipment, we're not just throwing out equipment that's, works fine, as things break, rather than replacing, hedge trimmer, a gas-powered hedge trimmer, we're gonna plan to replace it with an electric trimmer. And, we go through weed whackers.
They're throwaway.
Yeah, so that same kind of thing, weed whacker breaks down, we can't fix it anymore, we would replace it with.
If I may be on. Go. I really want to commend you for that. It does two things. One, it's helping mitigate costs, but it's also an example of leadership. Because if the town can do it, why can't a local homeowner business? So that's really good.
So this is kind of an aside. My daughter and her husband just bought a house, and we went to visit them this weekend. And there's a big sign as you drive in town: no gas-powered leaf blowers. They're not permitted in town at all, which I thought was
They're so loud and
pretty.
they don't
Yeah,
stop.
yeah.
It's like,
When you go on vacation, hotels, you can see you guys blowing stuff all over the place.
Yeah.
Loud.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any?
I have
Yeah.
one question on, oh, yeah. Now, you do all the mowing for the Board of Education?
Not all of it, no.
Not all of it?
No.
How's that determined?
Well, that's actually, if you look down at, under the financing plan, the first item says BOE FHS ground mowing. So the Board of Ed actually pays us money to do some of the maintenance on their field. Depending on which field we do, the maintenance changes or is different depending on which field we're working on.
Okay.
So we are compensated for the time that we're either mowing or raking an infield or something like
I think the same is true for snow plowing and public works.
that. It could be, I don't know.
That is back in just one thing. I think all the electricity in town is in public works.
Yes, it's not.
It's not in
It's
your
not
budget.
in, right. But it's still something you need to be mindful
Yeah,
Oh,
of course.
Sure. A little bit of a question, a little bit to the side of this, but kind of falls into place. I've had quite a few people call me about the fact that there's supposedly two fields up on Tollgate Road. What's the school up there?
Mary Morrison.
Yeah, out behind Mary Morrison that aren't being used.
of. Well, currently that's Board of Ed property.
So we can't use it.
So,
Well, I was just wondering, since you do mowing, maybe
Yeah,
you're
that
familiar
is-
with it.
that's not an area that we're currently mowing. They probably have a contract with a landscaper to do that.
Nobody's doing anything with it.
Okay, well,
So that one I asked the Board of Education.
yeah. And other than keeping the field mowed. So it doesn't become. What would be the intended use of that field? Are you suggesting that it should be used for something?
Yeah.
Or,
Well, I don't know what kind of a field it was.
oh, yeah,
I'm not, I didn't have any kids that went to that school.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm not familiar with it, but as you said, I was amazed at the calls I got about it all of a sudden. So I figured somebody must have stopped talking about it over in Navy Housing or
Okay.
something like that. And they said there were 2 fields back there that nobody was cultivating or taking care of, and they felt they could be used. And I said,
So are they not being mowed at all, or?
I have not been able to look at them. I
Yeah.
apologize for that. I just plain ran out of town.
Yeah.
Her husband takes a lot of my time. Anyways, I haven't, and I apologize for that, but I was surprised by the calls that I got about it. So I
Yeah.
figured maybe you knew.
Well, as a school that's closed, I would think those fields would be available to the public at any time. I
Yeah,
mean, when the school was open, it's my understanding that the Board of Ed doesn't want people on those fields when the school's
Yeah,
open, but now
yeah.
that the school's closed, I would think those fields would be available to be used by anybody.
well, I will get up there, take a look, and then go after the appropriate person.
Yeah.
Likely.
So active schools, you have to request a permit through a board of ed. If it's a town property, then they. But I'm assuming like any other field, it would be available. if Somebody requested.
Yeah.
I think, from my understanding, it might not be in like athletic field shape. It's a big kind of playground that kids played on that. I think a couple of the groups that, I would refreshers field space have checked it out, but I don't think like the level surface is there.
Okay, thank you.
So it's like the fields at
Community center, yeah.
or Colchester.
Oh, no.
Every field looks good when you're driving by on the road.
Yeah, when you go out there, yeah.
Right.
Oh, Harry, if you want to move a figure on this page 156.
Oh, do you have another question? I'm sorry, 2 last questions.
Oh, take your time.
So recreation and park rentals. See actual 21, 24, 0, 26. Same thing. And if you could explain the difference between park recreation rentals and lease fees.
So the park and recreation rentals were previously field rentals. Correct, Ben? Right, and so that money was going back to the general fund. Should not have been going to whoever. Anyway,
Mhm.
wants to use a field, we charge them a fee to use it. That money was going back into the general fund, and it wasn't supposed to. Because we have a separate account set up for field improvements. So when we need to make improvements to a field, we have the money that we collect from people using those fields. So that's why, and we didn't catch that. And so we've made that adjustment so that it will not be going back to the general fund. It will be going back to fund where when we need to make, it will help us pay for improvements that we.
So would we be able to see that in this report somewhere, that account?
Yeah, so that's a 323 account, right? And it doesn't show up in this.
I think what happened when we switched to my rec,
Yeah,
there was a field rental.
right. And got assigned to that. And then, I'm sorry, Paul, you.
What is a lease?
Oh,
Those
that,
long term, and it's, they don't charge.
Mary Jo, is there lease fees at the community drive? There's people, oh, that's what it is. So like the hairdresser, right? So the hairdresser is, we have a hairdresser here who pays for her space. So that's, yeah.
I have no need. Thank you. He's gonna leave it alone. Thank you.
Okay, so there is actually gonna be money coming in as it is presently, but it's gonna be handled differently to keep it out of the general fund.
Well, yeah, the money from the Board of Ed stays in the general fund, but what we charge groups to use our fields.
Yeah.
That money is going to a separate account,
Right,
so that
once it goes in the general fund, it
it
disappears.
disappears.
Yeah, so that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I hate the general fund. Where'd your money go? It's in the general fund. Yeah.
So Chairperson, can I move a dollar figure?
Yep.
That we approve $2,471,089. Let's say that right.
That's
$2,471,089.
She seconded it.
Well, let's put the minutes there. Is there any more discussion? Hey, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Is there anybody opposed? Any?
It wasn't so bad, Harry.
No, a lot of times, this is what I recall, is just you move a number first, and then you talk about it. But it doesn't matter.
Whichever
Don't
way
get the
you,
job done.
I think when it comes down to the floor for the RTM, you probably have to do it that way to make it official.
I'm just remembering from. Okay, so we're gonna move on to,
Yep.
golf course. Eric, you're up. I think. This is on page,
159.
59.
So, just as a reminder, the golf course is a special revenue fund. There are no tax dollars supporting the operation of the golf course. The operation of the golf course is paid through season pass holders and greens fees. So any cuts to this budget would not have any impact on what the taxpayer. So the proposed budget is $1,794,278, which is an increase of $173,677 or 9.6%. And personnel expenses are up by 148,000. A little over 12% increase. And conditions impacting the personnel expenses include additional maintainer position. We had an operational analysis done at the end of, well, over the last 4 or 5 months. And one of their recommendations, they identified that in fact, 2 maintainers short of where we should be, based on comparison of other golf courses across the country. So we added 1 additional position to the budget for FYE 26. Other conditions impacting the increase in expenses, personnel expenses, is the collective bargaining agreement, an increase in overtime, Connecticut minimum wage increase. We hire part-time or seasonal employees. Retirement expenses went up, and also health insurance. So all of those contributed to the increase in personnel expenses. Operating expenses increased by 25,000, 324, which is a 4.1% increase. We have set up an asset replacement plan. So we look at the life of the equipment and have a schedule built out to when the equipment needs to be replaced. And so we set aside money in a reserve fund so that when we need to replace that equipment, we have the money available. So next year, we're proposing to replace a Triflex green mower. And the other conditions impacting operating, just the rising cost of materials and supplies.
Like that on your, may I ask a question? On your personnel services, I'm assuming that's where you put that new employee that you're
Yes,
hiring?
yeah, it's a new maintainer position,
Okay,
and that would be reflected.
so that'd be 190,000 for one person?
No, there's a number of different factors that are
Okay.
going into that increase. Collective bargaining agreement,
Minimum wage stuff.
minimum wage, retirement, health insurance. I think health insurance went up. The health insurance.
40,000.
Yeah, so health insurance alone went up 40,000. Thank you, Eric.
On one person?
No, on everybody.
Oh, I see, so this is,
So,
gotcha, now. I'm with you now.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you,
Combination.
yes.
right.
Thank you. Have you hired that person?
No, because they're in the FYE 26 budget, which
Oh, I see.
doesn't take effect until July 1. And honestly, we probably wouldn't have somebody on board until September. Before, this is the process, you have to post the positions, go through interviews and all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that takes time.
I realize that.
Well, I have.
If someone transfers in-house, it'll be quicker.
That's true.
Now, my question is about the table that we got about the council passing it in and making it effective December 31st.
So those are CIPs. That's not the operating.
Oh, that's
budget.
in this.
Those are
that's-
CIP.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah.
Was that number the same? No, it's not. This is, I just printed out that part of the page, Mark. And they put that one in brown at the end. You see what I'm saying? She made a mistake making that one brown.
Yeah, because
And you're right, it should be just CIP. We got a thing in the mail today, of the budget and where it is so far, how much the council approved. And one of the things, I don't know who did it, whether it was the town clerk or whatever, is they highlight things different colors. And brown means that it wasn't effective until December 31st. They highlighted this one brown, which doesn't make sense. It makes sense for the CIPs.
yeah,
I'll ask that question.
I'm not
tomorrow.
sure why that is wrong. 'Cause-
The numbers are the same,
Yeah,
except that I have to almost get a magnifying glass.
yeah, they're super small. Need glasses.
Well, that's why I did do a magnifying glass and do this.
And then you made it bigger.
I want a little light on it, like that. Especially when you look at it.
Yes, I have one of those.
Okay, Ian, you had more questions?
No, I'm good, I'm good.
I have one question. You still have the Bluebird program going there? It was a program where Bluebird houses around the golf course once years ago.
Eric, do we still have bluebird houses around the golf course?
We do, and we're still a certified Audubon cooperative sanctuary.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Eric.
I got a question, not that I'm out on the course, but when I go out there for the golf tournament that we do, when I'm usually out, I don't know, I'm in the hole close to Pfizer. And the mosquitoes down there are unbelievable. You guys do anything to treat down there? Maybe you could put up a few more bird things or something. It's unbelievable. You just
Probably a bat
covered.
house. In a bat house.
Yeah.
They
It
eat
slopes
them.
down and it's wet, so of course there's mosquitoes.
Yeah, I was gonna say we could spray it, but that really doesn't fun.
Right.
Along with Bluebirds.
Right.
No, we don't want to do that.
you need to talk to who's giving you an assignment for you.
I'm sorry?
I think you need to talk to whoever's giving you the assignment down in the mosquito end.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna change where I'm gonna be.
In a high and dry spot.
We just
Gotta get closer to the water, Leanne.
You crack bats to live there.
I'm gonna be in Harry's backyard with beer.
Yeah. I'm, my house is midway third fairway. Across the little railroad track. Okay. I live right behind third fairway. It haven't changed, I think it's still a third. The third hole, the one over the hill, you can't see the green.
Correct.
Just wanna make sure it's still there, Eric, that's all.
I do have a question if I could. I'm sure this, what is customer service the guys that are in the clubhouse or?
Yes.
Okay.
They're the ones that sell bug repellent.
You probably could sell some. Make a little money, but don't let it go in the general fund.
Are we done with questions?
Of course
think
not.
Go for it. I mean, this is the one time that we get these folks here. If you have questions, you get to ask them.
So, Mr. Mark. Asset management. Did you purchase software to do that, or was that something you have? How are you doing asset management?
Yeah, so we looked at, it's on an Excel spreadsheet. And we looked at the equipment we had, the age. You know, Eric and I worked on this a number of years ago. And we came up with a plan to when the equipment needed to be replaced. And we built in a formula that adjusted for, okay, we don't need to replace this. It costs X now. Sure, it's not gonna cost X 10 years, it's gonna cost X times. Factor. And so, yeah, no, it's not software, it's not super sophisticated. It's just
Practical.
Now, I'm leading to something, so follow this. So you said that you put money, I'm using my own words, in some type of reserve
Yes,
to replace.
so we take some of the revenue that we make.
Yep.
We budget money every year. Okay, we know we're gonna need to replace 5,900. Triflex. And it's gonna cost 120,000. So we may set aside in 1 year 70, another year 50,000, so that when we get to year 3, we've got that money to replace it.
All right, so jump in and out. Does the parks maintenance / operation folks have a similar asset management plan? Or do they do an asset management plan? I know I can't do anything, but I notice your operating for golf courses only going up. It's 25,000.
Right.
Recreation is only going up 46,000. So I commend you on such a small increase in those two divisions. But I'm also wondering, is this the opportunity where we should be looking at now, or 27, something like that, where there is really an asset management software that parks can use, that golf course can use, you know, so just
Right.
something to think about.
Yeah, one thing to point out is equipment, larger equipment in the Parks Division actually falls under Public Works. So they budget money for equipment, for the larger pieces of equipment, like the mowers and things. I don't know if they, I'm not sure if they're using some kind of software, but because the golf course is a special revenue fund, we're not relying on, we had to come up with a plan.
Now, testing your memory, do not call each other. Right. So in 24, actual for grounds maintenance was 675.
Which page?
I'm sorry, page 160. And then there was like a $200,000 fund jump between fiscal year 24 actual, what was adopted in 25. Do you remember what caused that 200 grand jump? Unfortunately, I don't know what the budgeted number was in 24. Maybe Eric does.
Oh, yeah.
Although the number stayed the same in 20, estimate 26, and then another $100,000 jump. 26.
So you're saying the 870 jumping up to the.
No, I'm first curious why the actual was 672 for 24, and then and I'm going based on
Right,
history.
Yep.
870 for current fiscal year. You know what?
Great question, and I don't. Eric, do you have any thoughts on that?
I don't have the numbers that you're looking at in front of me, so I don't know what you're looking at.
So this is the grounds maintenance cost center.
Grounds maintenance cost center.
And so actual for FYE 24 was 672. Adjusted, which for FYE 25 was 870. So that's $200,000 more between our actual in FYE 24 and what we requested in FYE 25.
I'm thinking they probably put the CIP money that we paid for out of the golf course fund there. Because it was 200,000.
So would we say the same thing as the cause for it staying, or possibly increasing another 100,000 for fiscal year 26?
Well,
The 100,000 for 26 would mostly be the maintainer. The extra maintainer and the increases that we talked about.
Man, because then I go back to on page 163. So again, trying to figure out, has there been a consistent, even though I do realize the golf course is very weather dependent, coming out of COVID, and people like me play once in a while. So your revenue for the golf course, actual 2024 was 1.6. So we're looking at adjusted for 25, 1.7. But then we're going back down to 1.6 for an estimate.
Is that on page 162?
160.
It's the graph.
Oh, that's right.
And then for fiscal year 26, 1.8. So I'm just wondering,
These are going.
Fees are going up.
yeah,
yeah,
we increased
You ended up with $5 on everything, didn't you?
season pass holders, resident season pass holders, 7%. Non-resident, existing season pass holders, up 15%. And greens fees are similar to that. Resident greens fees went up 7%. And non-resident green fees in excess of 7%.
so was the same formula, different numbers, I got it, or the same formula or way of calculating revenue, the same for fiscal year adjusted 25?
Yeah, so what we do is we take the first 6 months.
Yep.
I'm sorry, the last 6 months of the previous fiscal year and the first 6 months of the fiscal year we're in.
Mhm.
And use that formula, use those numbers to provide us what, and adjust for whatever changes in the rates to get us to our projected revenue.
Yes,
Okay.
Is
I
it,
do, but here's my question.
Yeah.
So the question is, and I have no authority to ask for this information, but I'm curious. Is there how much of a difference is there percentage-wise between what is adjusted or budgeted and the estimate? So yeah, we can calculate that perfect season, the revenue is gonna be 1.8, but for the past, and it's COVID over, so the past 5 years, our actual estimate or actuals is actually, I'm saying actually too much, right? 25% less than what we budget. You get what I'm trying
I
to say?
do, yeah. And I think over the last 5 years, our actual revenue has exceeded what we estimated,
Okay. Okay,
because we've brought this distance.
Sure.
Since COVID.
Parks and Recreation?
Parks and Recreation, where's the? You,
Look on the top of the agenda, it'll say it on top of the agenda.
no, it's not.
Oh.
That was for me, but is that financial?
Promising that.
Somehow I noticed that we had Democratic Town, Democratic Committee meetings. I think that's next week. Yes.
yes.
Thank you. Be like me.
It's the
Be a week
23rd,
early.
the 23rd.
The 23rd, okay. That's what I was surprised that you read it as being tonight.
All right,
I'm done, thank you.
and then would somebody like to move a number? I'll move it. $1,794,278. That's the number, right, Mike? And you seconded it? Thank you.
Was that yours? I'm sorry. Harry, I think we. What's the number we just passed?
2471089 you passed earlier.
No, the one we just this moment passed.
You didn't pass it yet.
Oh, well, what was the number?
$1,794,278.
Thank you.
Is there further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. 4-0. 4-0. And the next, well, Mark is gonna do the lead here.
Yeah, so this is the 3240, which is the special revenue fund. And again, all the expenses under this budget are covered under the fees that we charge for programs and services.
Is that the one on 162, page 162? 164.
The number is on 165.
Right, it starts on 160. So the proposed budget is $1,367,277, an increase of $24,000 or 1.8% over FY 25. Personal expenses decreased by almost $40,000. And operating expenses increased by $42,000, about 7.5%. Operating expenses increase is the number of pool rental hours, software maintenance fees, because in order for us to run our swim lessons, we pay Avery Point to provide us access to the pool. I think, is it $100 an hour now, Ben? Yeah, it's $100 an hour that we're I think we pay 35,000. Was it even gone up? But you know, at this spot, yeah, I think it's close enough. So anyway, we pay quite a bit to have access to, and they've increased their rates. We also, professional technical services are up, so some of our instructors, we're trying to increase the number of programs that we're providing. And also under there is increased food costs and program-related materials and supplies, purchase of a garden shed, an event canopy, commercial grade table tennis. Ping pong is a program that we now see close to 20 people. What night is it, Mary Jo? Tuesday night? Tuesday nights. That program seems to be growing.
Nothing to do.
So, summer camp transportation fees are also under operating expenses. The cost to bus kids to summer camp, to bus them to do a field trip has, it's ridiculous. We're paying for buses. That's crazy. We have to be very selective in the trips that we offer.
Let me just say something, I meant to say it right at the beginning of the meeting. Doesn't mean that much, but it's important for me to say it. My daughter works Friday night for Park and Recreation, and I need to disclose that. Okay? She runs the teen social on Friday night. I want to put that in the beginning, somewhere in the minutes that I said that.
And that's a program for kids with special needs. And we've been doing that for
I know.
30 years.
That's great.
Well, we have Eileen Chikasi.
Wonderful. All wonderful.
Make sure you get that.
What is a risograph?
Oh, risograph?
Risograph?
Yeah, so that.
I'm like,
the,
it's
yeah, so the risograph machine does a high volume of printing of flyers.
Oh.
And
never heard the term.
yeah, so it's an older type machine. That ours just, we couldn't get, it was sold, we couldn't even get replacement parts for it, so we had to purchase a new risograph. We do a lot of flyers here at Thrive 55 that go into the program guide that gets distributed, and just in general around the building.
Nice.
Isograph.
If I
Go
may,
ahead, Leanne.
under the personnel services, you know, I noticed there's a little bit of an uptick in that one. Is that because of contracts or healthcare, or would that come into that?
Are you professional technical services or?
It says personal services, and it was 25, it was 525, and proposed for 26 is 690.
First line.
Am I reading the same thing? Because it just,
I'm on page 165.
yeah, so that the adopted or
Oh.
adjusted fiscal year 25 is 729,
So it's gone down.
It's gone down. For
It
Yeah.
comes down to 525, but then it goes back up to 690.
Right, so the 525 is what we estimated.
Yeah.
For this fiscal year. What we're asking for, and this estimate was made back in December when we were putting the budget together. So there's still another 6 months of programming to take place, so.
Right.
Yeah, so if we could back up just, so the adjusted FYE was, for 2025 was $730,000. This year, we're only asking for 690. We're asking for $40,000 less.
Oh, okay, I saw the 525, so,
Yeah,
I
the
didn't go that far.
525 was the estimate for 25.
okay, and you went above that.
You went below what you were at.
Yeah,
Okay.
but we went below what we asked for this current fiscal year.
Oh, 200.
And those programs in those are, like you might have a fitness class that runs. If it doesn't run, there's no revenue coming in, so all of
Yeah.
those expenses are offset by
And in most cases, we won't offer a class unless we're at least breaking even. That's not true in every situation, because sometimes if we're introducing a new class, it takes some time, sometimes to build up interest in a class.
Yeah.
So we may lose money the first and maybe the second time, depending on what kind of numbers we're looking at, in the hopes that we can build that program up so that it's self-sustained. And we do that off of the backs of programs that generate excess revenue over the costs associated with running the program.
What's the number of the staff then?
You got 6, 2 drivers, 3 kitchen staff, and
The instructors,
6.
yeah, the instructors change seasonally.
Depending on what-
Depending on their availability.
I think you do a phenomenal job. I'm not ever complaining, I'm just asking questions.
I just got the brochure in the mail.
If I may ask, I'm gonna go with the new kid on the block. So cost center one, recreation. Staff stomach campsites for children aged 3 to 5,
Which page you want?
164. Am I reading the wrong page?
That's 5 to 13.
Okay. The senior center, I guess this is where I get funny. So senior center or Thrive 55, staffs count? That's what I'm saying, am I reading?
Summer
it right?
camp, they heard children.
Yeah, so this falls, both of these fall. under cost center.
Oh,
So I disclose this all in the right place. I disclose my daughter working in the right
no, I was only wondering like, why is it there?
place. I meant to say at the beginning.
Because it threw me off.
It's supposed to say survive 55.
Should that be there? Because it's kind of misleading.
What was your question?
Well, yeah, the summer camp staff is under cost center 1. So those 2 paragraphs under cost center 1 are recreation programs.
They get paid for out of Thrive 55.
No,
This is a recreation. It's
no,
like Thrive
there's,
55.
yeah, so there's more than one cost center. In,
That's how,
under 3240. There's cost center 1, which is recreation programs.
Okay,
Cost center 5, which
Okay.
is Thrive 55 program. Cost center 6, which is food concession.
got it.
So there's 3 different. Yeah, so 3240 is not exclusively senior, Thrive, senior center.
So we go to the next page.
Does Ralph still work for the town?
So if I was to look at this, if I was to say, okay, how much does it cost to operate and run Thrive 55? Where would I see that?
Well, you would have to take senior programs, senior food concession,
Okay,
and add those 2.
does that include personnel services or? No, it's the same. All right, thank you. Got it.
Yeah, those are instructors. Program related expense.
So if I was to read this, I think I need your help. It only costs. This is where I get fuzzy. I'm trying to. So it only costs us $410,000 to upgrade senior center.
Well, you have full-time salaries kind of.
Yeah, so the
full
full,
like
right,
building expenses and public works budget. All over.
All right.
Vehicles.
Okay.
yeah, so the full-time staff was in the 106.
Yeah.
This is 3240 instructors that were program related. Basketballs for new stretch bands. Bells for. Got it.
It's the only way to learn.
Question, anyone else?
No.
Not gonna move, oh, that's real.
So, Mr. Chair, I move that we approve $1,367,277 for Recreation Drive 55, activities number 3240.
Take notes, who's charged,
All right.
otherwise,
I just remember.
I'll be rolled in the motion. Are there any discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention? Another quarter.
CIP.
Now we have CIC. And see the pool.
You know, after you do this a couple of times, when you have a constituent comes up to you and say, why aren't we paying this? You actually can answer them. The page,
19.
good thing somebody's on. the
This is
wall.
where I can ask my question about the brown box. Right, where the December 31st.
Oh, yeah, okay.
They sent them out.
Because they were,
Like,
the numbers that the council passed are the actual numbers in here.
Right.
I looked them all up. But some of them were, or all of them were flagged with available the end of December or something like that.
Right.
Why is that?
So there's uncertainty in Washington.
Okay.
Do I need to say any more?
No,
But you make it brown, you should make it
So,
red. Sorry.
yeah, so anyway, the council is concerned about the future of educational funding. And if the decision is made that we're no longer going to fund education on the federal level, that would significantly impact Groton. And so they're hoping that there's some clarity by December, by the end of December. So
the only
they
thing I'm
have,
gonna know is Christmas is coming.
they have deferred a lot of the capital improvement projects Until-
I didn't really find out what's going on.
until we find out what's going on.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
I had
And,
to ask the question because I.
yeah, so that was.
It's a reasonable answer, like there always is.
Right. So there are a couple of exceptions to that we will get to.
Okay.
But yeah, so the first CIP was facility improvements. And there's 4 separate projects in there. One is making improvements to a basketball court in the Bel Air Park neighborhood. That was for $30,000. We're hoping that we can either put another coat over the existing court, or we may have to take that court out and repave it. And this is something that we would work with Public Works on. They've done this in other places, so that saves us a considerable amount of money. We just end up having to pay for the paving material. Right. And they will typically do this kind of work in between big paving projects or kind of at the end of the paving season. So they schedule these projects. The second one is the replacement of the stairs at Snake Hill Park in Noe. So there's a set of stairs that go down a steep incline down to the waterfront, and there's a small beach. Those stairs have been around for years and years.
Is that the area where we were fighting over who owned what land down there?
It's close to that, yes. Yeah, it's close to that. And so Public Works, their engineers put together an estimate for the cost. We'd simply be replacing those stairs. And we probably wouldn't do that until the end of the summer. Now, that is one of the projects that they did not defer until December. So this is a project, money would be available July 1st, provided it doesn't get cut from either this group or the RTM. $25,000 for seal coating and line striping. There's an existing basketball court up behind the community center, and we got a quote to seal coat and line stripe for 3 pickleball courts and a basketball court. So they'd be kind of overlaying each other. And the other project was $120,000 for design. Most of the money is actually going to construction for the replacement of the boat ramp at Parazotti Boat Launch. So right now, the boat launch has been there for a number of years. It's paved, and it only goes out so far. And then what happens is guys are backing up their trailers, and they get to the end of the boat ramp, and the trailers kind of drop off. And so what we're proposing to do is take that out and actually extend the boat ramp further into the water, so they won't run into that issue. And they'll be using large, like 12-foot long, 1.5 thick, 2 or 3 feet wide concrete blocks.
Like
And
a Bayberry lane?
they lay them next to each other all the way down. And
That's what they have at Bayberry Lane.
oh, okay. Okay.
It's all cement and there's.
Yeah. Right.
It's,
And that's exactly what we'd be looking at.
And I've experienced the problem you're talking about.
Yeah.
Go too far, the wheel goes too close.
Yeah, it just drops right off because the water, the action of the waves and everything is kind of washed out the end of the boat ramp.
Does anybody know why it's called the Parazotti?
Named after Frank Parazotti.
Yeah, who was right?
Frank was on the Shellfish Commission for many, many years.
His wife Deb was a town councilor.
No, she lives in his house now.
Oh, but,
That was her grandfather.
grandfather, yeah.
He lived on the name of the road, Tollgate Road. But he was on the Shellfish Commission for many, many, many years. I don't remember why they named it after, but I went to some.
Thank you. I was just wondering.
So that, the brief explanation of the proposed project.
So the only one that was in brown is the steps in Noack. Brown meaning that the money is okay to be used before the end of December.
No, so it's the boat ramp and
Oh, good.
the beach, stairs down to the
Stairs.
beach.
The Snake Hill Park in Noack.
Snake Hill Park.
And the boat launch.
Yeah, those two, they were not going to defer.
That's good. I mean, you have to go through another whole season of if you're using them or not using them. 120 grand. This is all coming from capital reserve. If it's all approved.
Right.
Everybody follow what I was just saying? Make sure I'm not.
Right. So are we looking to approve 220?
Okay. She hasn't had lunch with you yet.
Yes, you have.
Somebody like to move it up?
Sure. 200.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstentions?
Mark, if things go as some of us think it might go badly, would these things then just be vacated and we'd have to wait?
Yes, yeah, the town manager said that, you know, if we were faced with a situation where we were gonna have to lay off, where it was severely impact the Board of Ed budget, and then the first place to go would be to cut all the CIP.
Okay,
We're turning the page to the next.
This is the community connectivity program,
what page is that?
Very
220. So we have proposed for FY '26, $60,000 for phase one of a wayfinding plan. And this is along the Groton Crosstown Greenway. So the town received designation from the state for two different greenways back in 2022. We've been working with a consultant to come up with a wayfinding plan, and this greenway goes all the way from the bridge that connects the city to New London, all the way over to the bridge in Mystic that connects Groton to Stonington. So there's bike pathways, there's hiking, hiking through some different properties. So this is signage for that whole stretch. It's a two-phase project. Estimate that the consultants gave us was $120,000, and it includes trail kiosks, trail markers, directional posts, all along this. And I do want to point out that increased trail and pathway connectivity was one of the highest identified future needs in 2022. So people want to be connected to parks. I mean, this greenway and the signage is one way towards making it easier for people to get connected.
Two phases.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
I asked for quite a bit,
Yeah.
and so I was like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
let's just, yeah.
I
The question was, why not ask for the whole thing at once? Which is a
Probably won't
great,
get it.
which is a great question.
More palatable.
Yeah,
Not be able to do that much work.
I would tell you, I would only be in opposition of this because of the fact that we still don't have a sign up on Route 1 and 117. I know it's two different entirely. things,
Oh,
but
yeah, this is completely different.
I understand that, but I would rather take this money and get that sign up, but that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, cool.
It aggravates me. What's that?
Either is the pool.
Yeah. I mean, it's 2 years since the guy drove into the sign and we still don't have a sign back up. Hard to spend money on others when we can't get what needs to be done.
Yeah, I have seen plans for the new sign.
I'm sorry?
I have seen plans for a new sign. It's different than what was there before. I actually think it's better because it points out where, how to get to Esker Point. There's a directional arrow that identifies Esker Point Beach. There's a directional arrow, I think that included the city, so it was much more, I think it was much better than what was there before,
Yeah,
but that's my opinion.
I think anything would be an improvement.
Yeah.
I agree, but I'd just like to see it up,
Yeah.
Yeah,
That doesn't fall under Parks and Recreation.
I know that. Yeah, I realize that.
Planning.
Mr. Chair, can I move $60,000 for the Parks and Recreation Community?
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed or abstention? Unanimous. Unanimous.
Where's it?
Yeah, no, I said unanimously, it's the same thing. All right, so now we're on to the golf course improvement.
Golf course improvement plan, yes. So we have proposed for FYE 26, $270,000 to renovate tees and bunkers on holes 1 through 3 and 8. This money is coming from the golf course. Well, part of the money is coming from golf course fund balance. So when the golf course generates revenue in excess of expenses, that money goes into fund balance. So a portion of this project is to go to golf course fund balance. The other is the CIP fund balance. And this is part of a long-term plan that was developed. Well, it comes from two different studies. One that was done a number of years ago and then also updated in the 2024 operational. And there's, Eric, how many bunkers are there on the course?
Too many.
100.
There's 100 bunkers, and what happens, and I sound like I know what I'm talking about, but I don't really.
Big
Because I don't-
golfer.
But what happens is the balls go into the bunkers, where all the sand is, and the players are trying to get the ball out of the bunker. And over time, that sand builds up, so the face of the bunker actually grows from 2 or 3 feet to 4 or 5 feet.
So you call me.
Yeah, so we've got Paul on video, yeah. He's the culprit. So anyway, that ends up frustrating the golfers and it slows down pace of play. And so we have to trim those bunkers back to where they should be. And the other part of the work that we're doing is, if we can, increasing the size of the tee boxes. So when the golf course was built, the average number of rounds was maybe 10 to 12,000. Well, we're seeing 35 to 37,000 rounds. So those small tee boxes get chewed up pretty quickly. So we need more space to kind of, yeah, exactly. So that's why we're focused primarily on the bunkers. And that's also, we do a golfer satisfaction survey every other year. And the bunkers are always the lowest scoring asset on the golf course everybody complains about it. So that's why we're focused.
There are issues in the past with drainage.
Yes.
Too, right?
Yep.
I remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and we've been, in fact, the work that was done last fall included some changes to the drainage so that you don't have a bunker that's sitting full of water.
Haven't we done a couple?
Oh, we've done a
Yeah.
number of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
This
try
is
to do
just a
some,
continuation.
yeah, we try to do some every year.
I'm gonna ask a question. So it looks like only 7,000 is coming out of the capital reserve fund. 200 is coming from the golf course fund. Is that right? It
Uh,
says.
Yes, that is correct too. So
So
7,000 is
200,000
coming
is coming out of the golf course fund anyway.
No,
No.
CIP
Other
fund
way.
balance. Only 7,000 is coming out of the golf course fund balance. The other 200 is coming out of CIP fund balance.
We got it backwards. Here, I think.
Uh,
Let's see, construction. There's an O at the top and then a C at the bottom. You look at the 200, the O. There's other. Oh, wait, you got it down the bottom there.
Bottom right.
Bottom right.
Can you explain the rationale behind that? That 200,000 is being used out of those,
That,
especially realizing it's supposed to be an enterprise.
You give me some vision. What?
I know you know.
It goes back to Ron LeBlanc. And there was a time that it was always argued that all the money should come from golf course proceeds. And Ron LeBlanc, he changed that back when he was town manager back in the late 90s, I think. And it wasn't so much for this, the bunkers. It was more for building stuff. Like R4, for instance. Maybe the maintenance shed or whatever else. That all happened when we changed property with Pfizer too. We got the water property, they got a parking lot. Right, for the whole I'm sorry, that's my recollection.
The reason why I ask is, if the budget doesn't go as well, I would like it to go, soon it will go. And there is changes to CIP. Is there a way that at least some of these bunkers can be taken care of through the golf course fund?
and that's actually what happened last year, is the council of the RTM did not fund the improvements to the bunkers through the CIP fund. And so we went back to the council and said, "Look, we can absorb that cost through the golf course funds."
Thank you. And again, kudos to you and your staff. So, Mr. Chair, if it's okay with you, I would like to move $207,000.
Want that all?
Parks and Recreation CIP Golf Course Improvement.
Second.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna take a turn here. Mark, have you heard, you remember we had a developer that was interested in going in up by Farquhar? I never say that right,
Yeah.
Farquhar Park.
Right,
And at that time, part of his plan was to do over that whole park for us.
right.
I heard some scuttlebutt recently about he might be coming back.
Oh, okay, well, I have not heard that. That was probably 5 years ago
Yeah.
now, and I know that whole project hinged on a couple of people selling the property in that area. And at the time, there was no interest in, those particular property owners weren't interested in selling. And so that project went away.
I think the only one now that probably still wouldn't sell would be the old donut shop, but the rest are empty. Not a soul up there anymore.
Yeah, I know Tim Hortons is closed.
Yeah, she won't sell that though. But the rest of them, the larger buildings are empty.
Yeah.
So hopefully, maybe, something will raise its head up again.
Okay, all in favor?
Uh,
Right, that's, $47,000.
So up next is park investment, ADA compliance. Yes, page 222. So one of the things that the town's been working on is trying to make all of their facilities more accessible. And so we are proposing to put in an accessible bathroom facility at the pickleball hockey rink complex. The pickleball courts aren't in yet, but they will be. There's lights. We know it's gonna get a lot busier. Right now, all there is a portalet. And people have said, yeah, we're not really crazy about portalets. So,
What about like that one you had down at top floor though? That was very nice.
yeah,
Was it very expensive?
probably.
It's like walking into a regular bathroom.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So there are,
Seen them.
you know, the really nice bathrooms, I can tell you, we're spending $350,000 roughly on putting in a new bathroom at Sutton Park. So we're not proposing that here, we're proposing something kind of between the two. And it would have flushing system, it's not gonna have, not hooked up to town water or sewer or anything like that. It's a large capacity storage tank that you fill with water that allows you to run the sink and flush a toilet. We would have power to it, so we can lock it at night to avoid any kind of vandalism. And that is, those run about $124,000.
And this is out back here.
Yeah, so this is going to be, we've already have the approval to put one on the site, and it's going to be at the edge of the parking lot with the Thrive parking lot near the pickleball courts and the hockey.
Is there gonna be lights on the pickleball?
Yes, the lights are already in.
So what time would those lights be going on?
The lights, probably 9:30, maybe 10 at the latest.
So would there be somebody to lock those up at night?
To lock,
The
oh, the
Bathrooms.
bathroom would lock itself after a certain time.
I know what we've gone through in downtown Mystic
Yes,
with the bathrooms.
right. And I think they're looking to do the same thing there.
That would be a good
Lock
idea.
them.
Well, they only go in the bushes.
Yeah, but there shouldn't be people, you know, running around here
Well,
after.
there shouldn't be, but you know, as teenagers, when I was that age, I used any place I could get to.
Oh, geez.
Getting there only better than you wanted to, huh?
Between dinner and this, I don't know. So Mark, my only question would be, have you identified operational costs? And if you have, where would it fall into?
Yeah.
Or is
so-
that gonna be a fiscal year 27?
Well, operationally, it would just require, we have a contract with Blackburn, and they would come in and pump this out, or Blackburn would do the pump out, but they would do the clean. And we would probably use the same service that we use for the portalets, just to do a pump out.
We'll make a
It's okay with you, I make a motion, 124,000, also recreation CIP, the park investment
$88 plan.
slash 8.
I'll second that.
More discussion? Okay, it's time to vote. Who's in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. We go for D.
I hope we see these things happen, but I don't think.
No, we have to be sure we try to
They
think
will,
positive.
they will.
No
So
matter what, we're gonna keep this place open.
the athletic field development, our proposal is for $190,000. That's two separate projects. One is to install an irrigation system, regrade and reseed field number 2 at the community center. We did field number 1 a couple of years ago. The condition on those fields are so bad that Groton youth soccer won't even practice.
Is that the one on the side of the building?
No, that's the one out back. We did the one on the side of the building a couple of years ago. Again, we used Public Works. They came in, they excavated out the existing field, brought in topsoil. We had an irrigation system installed, and we let the field sit for a year. And the field's in great shape now.
Yeah,
It's nice and
beautiful.
flat. And, it holds up much better. So the proposal is to do the same thing to the second field. Out back. And then the second part of that project is to replace the backstops on renovated fields at the community center. Part of the recreation master plan that we did in 2022 was a level of service analysis. So somebody went and looked at all of the different facilities at all of our different parks and rated those. And the backstops were rated 1, which is below average. What we're trying to address, but it identified as higher.
Just to keep stuff from going in the road.
No, this is out behind.
Okay.
You know, these backstops are old and rusty.
And
You
then
know,
out
we
there,
we
back.
rebuilt one of the fields out behind it. Well, actually, we did both of them. Out behind the community center. Built a 50-70 field, and then there's also a skimmed field that the little kids use. So we're just trying to wrap up those projects.
Mr. Chair, if it's okay with you, I'd like to move $190,000 plus from recreation CIP athletic field development.
My boys played soccer there when it wasn't fixed. So, what I was asking was, the balls used to be picked out in the road.
Oh, yeah,
That's what I was asking.
right.
All right, all in favor, 190,000, say aye.
I
Opposed, abstentions?
I oppose. I know these things need to be done, but it's kind of like we've done quite a bit. I just can't keep going. You know, I hope you understand, but
Okay. You can do a minority. Really?
I'll look that up.
I'll tell you when we're done here. What?
Yeah,
In my, a minority, rebuttal of some sort. The next thing, and it may be the last one, it is page 2, gotta skip a couple pages this time. 226. Right over my pool. Look at my London's got.
All right, so this last project is part of the playground replacement plan. We're requesting $100,000 to make renovations to the Windwood Passage Playground, Bailey Hill neighborhood. Improvements would include, and this is a really small playground. We're looking to replace some of the equipment, provide an accessible route to the playground, and put up a sign. The level of service analysis rated this playground as 1, poor condition. And this is in an area of town District 4 that has been identified as having a lack of recreational services. Focus on.
Where is that playground up there? I've never seen it.
Well, it's in a neighborhood between two houses. There's no, and the playground is kind of down off the road a little bit. So you could drive by and not even see it, or drive by and think, oh, that's nice, that guy's got his own playground. It's, yeah, there's no sign there, there's no access. We would probably work with Public Works to see if we could get a handicap parking spot on the road. Right near the end of the cul-de-sac. Bailey Hill.
I'm sure there's some provision that says you can't do this, but why can't we use some of the playground equipment that we've got just sitting like up here at the school, out in the back? What is it, 2 or 3 playground equipment things back there?
Yeah, and we have done that in the past, when Pleasant Valley closed, we took that playground from that area and moved it over out behind the community center, because there wasn't one. A lot of the playgrounds that we have are really old, and they're not,
What do you got over here at Colchester?
yeah,
You got quite a few bit of equipment out back there.
and the recommendation is not to reuse that equipment due to its age. That's why there's a fence around that piece of equipment. So safety standards change, and those, those playgrounds.
We used to play.
Yeah,
It's
I mean, we used to
outlawed at this
use,
point.
right,
Is
we had
Sandy,
jungle gyms
Oh, yeah.
and with pavement.
Oh, yeah. Get across.
is Sandy Hook still doing playgrounds?
I,
You know, because they came in and put some beautiful playgrounds, but they put them in places where nobody's ever used them. There's one over by the Coast Guard Academy, absolutely beautiful, set. Never anybody there. But I'm sorry to say, the only thing on here that I would be interested in doing would be the Tercentennial.
oh, the tourist.
That would be the only thing here. I think we just have to say, well, you know, this
Well, that's-
just isn't
yeah.
gonna happen.
That's not scheduled for this year. The
Oh.
Terracentennial,
I
proposed for FY 20.
mean, I'd love to give the kids everything, but I think we've been fairly generous, and I just have to say, well, myself personally, that's how I feel about it. I would ask that they come back in our next budget and see how things are then. But, you know, that's a lot of money on playgrounds.
Yeah, playgrounds are expensive.
I'll see if I can find out if Sandy Hook still does any of those.
Who's Sandy Hook?
Oh, that's where the.
That's true, wasn't true.
What do you mean they?
Well, they have, they
grant
created
program?
a fund.
Yeah.
And they built playgrounds. I think they put one over in Stonington. And they
Yeah.
built them in different places.
They're beautiful, very, very nice, but I'll see if they're still doing any of that, if I can find out.
My questions first would be, how far is this? Or not?
Where?
Where this is.
Up on Bailey Hill? Well, it kind of depends. We could have quite a few if we could work out an agreement with the base. Because every section that they did, they put in a beautiful playground. It's on Navy land. And if we could, you know, get it so that kids in the neighborhood could use it, we'd have all you could ever use, including a pool.
So that's, so the answer is we don't have a town sanctioned playscape within.
Bailey Hill,
Yeah.
there's gotta be one.
I can't picture where this is right now in my head, but I know Bailey Hill.
Yeah.
So if you were driving into the subbase, instead of taking a right-hand turn to go to the subbase. So you're headed towards the Nautilus.
Okay,
Okay. Instead of taking a right-hand turn to go into the subbase, you take a left.
Oh, I know what
You
it is
start-
now.
Where the dry cleaners used to be, Harry.
Yeah, so you,
Uh.
you start heading that way, and then you take a left, and you go up a hill.
Yeah.
And then, yeah,
Yeah, I know.
the steep hill is
It's
crazy
nothing up
stoplight,
there.
stop sign on that road.
You know, because one of the things that I know that they're gonna require on that, on Pleasant Valley is that the developer put in a playground.
Yeah.
I
Still-
think, I'm not part of that
It still might
committee,
be half a
I really
mile away.
don't know, but I
Yeah.
think that's what they're gonna ask for.
and then the only other place would be the Nautilus, for the new Brighton Square. There's a playground in there
Yeah,
that is going to be available to the public. Way back.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's pretty small.
I'm a firm believer that every single kid from their door will be able to get to a escape within half. Remembering where this is, there's,
no, there isn't, but unfortunately, where do you see a kid go where he's walking? They don't walk. The parents take them in their car. We got Washington Park. We've got, you know, there's several around, but it's not walking distance, west for my kids. If you wanna go there, you walk there.
I think you'll be surprised how many kids walk to it.
My kids had lucky parents, because I used to take them, what they used to do with their, take them to a playground, and just
That's the beauty of having one within a quarter mile houses that don't have.
right, I mean, like I said, my parents, my kids were lucky because I did that. There are a lot of parents that.
But I
It's all
also,
agreeing by
I
the law.
understand what Leanne is saying though, you know, is in the grand scheme of everything. $100,000 on top of all this, you know, can it be pushed out another year? And in fiscal
Well,
year 27,
The one for Pleasant Valley is supposed to have a walkway to Bailey Hill. I mean, it's not gonna happen tomorrow, but it's gonna happen. You know, I'm not trying to single or anything out, but I do think that one for the, can't say the word, so I'll say the handicapped children is wonderful. It's always being used. Didn't I see you on it?
Supposed to be an inclusive playground, that was funded by,
The Rotaries, I think, wasn't it?
no, it was lots of different people. that
Yeah.
wanted to put
well, Mark, this is part of a plan. So it's itemized and
Where did it rank in the, pizza?
It was scored as a 1, poor condition.
that. Just trying to get out there. What's your pleasure, Carl?
Yeah,
well, we gotta put it on the table regardless.
I'm just one vote, so, you know, you all do what you feel. We just haven't done anything, you know, I mean, we're all hoping that we can do all the things we wanna do, but I understand what you're saying, it would be wonderful for everybody to be able to come out their door and walk a few blocks and have a playground, but I don't think in today's world right now it's a reality. I'll ask the rec directors.
So to keep it going, I would like to make a motion of approving $100,000 plus recreation CIP for playground replacement plan.
How much did you,
With their estimate.
100.
It says 100,000.
100? So you're reducing it?
No, it's
No,
100,000.
asked for.
Well, we're not doing them one at a time, we're doing all of them together.
No, there's
No,
only
no.
one.
No,
There's only
Just
one for this year.
100,000.
Okay, sorry
Next
about
year's-
that,
next
everything
year's
else
the
has
big
been
one.
together. Assumed it was gonna be one number.
Oh,
that
no,
means he's a yes.
now it seems like a discount.
No, no,
All right, we'll just vote, see where we're going tonight. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
they,
That passes 3-1.
We actually.
I will, if there's no other business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
nobody will.
Motion to adjourn.
That's this one.
Yeah, they don't.
All in favor of adjournment, say aye. Opposed, abstentions?
Thank you all for your support.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. Yeah, and great party. Yeah. No, they, good.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's a meat grilled.
Yeah.
Well, it was less than 2 hours.
You on there, we really started studying. Yeah.
Well, that's an awful hard way to lose weight.
This.
Oh,
Thanks, I had a couple of sessions.
It's done, I got you. Wonderful. Oh my God, I'm so happy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.